welcome to the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Devin Martin earned all tournament honors for his all-around great performance over this past weekend. However, he is one of 9 players who returned for Session B, looking to this time lead his team to a championship. His Finland select squad will face Pointstreak, one of the most potent offenses in this tournament. On paper, we should see an exciting shootout between two teams vying for a championship. Windsor Express and Pointstreak in Game 3 of the Session B GBSL Day 1 tournament. Joining me for tonight's game is a new man to our broadcast crew, Mr. Ben Wilson. Ben, how has your experience been so far watching these games?
Well, I was calling the first game of the morning session, and really the things that stand out to me is, regardless of the score, when you have guys that are fighting for jobs, you're going to have 100% effort for 40 minutes. I think that's what I've enjoyed so far. It's been a really up and down tempo. We've seen a lot of high-scoring games, and at times shot selection hasn't been the greatest, but at the same time we've seen a lot of fast breaks. Teams really trying to get up and down. I'm certainly expecting more of the same in this game.
Well, Game 3 of the GBSL Session B tournament is underway as Pointstreak and Finland Select square off in what could be a good one, and we get things started with a Miles Coleman air ball. Well, Sam Cooperman, who's part of the media here at the GBSL tournament, he has mentioned that Session B may be even more talented of an overall squad than the rosters put together for Session A. And based off of your early interpretation, I get the feeling that this is going to be a very good game.
Well, I think so. One guy to watch, especially on Finland, so like Kenny Hall, he played on the Santa Cruz Warriors in the D-League and has experience in Division I basketball. He's one of several D1 guys we have in this game. So, yeah, I'm expecting a really high talent level, not only in this game, we've seen it throughout the tournament.
These are a combination of about 60, not only in this game, but in all 4 of our games throughout the day. 60 of the greatest small college and Division I graduates that are vying their way onto a professional roster, either in the NBA or overseas. We are currently scoreless between Pointstreak and Finland Express. And another brick put up by Andre Smith, the big man who played in Session A of the tournament for Scouting for You. 1 minute gone by, first quarter. The Finland Select wearing the whites with the black numbers. Meanwhile, Pointstreak, they're wearing the blue jerseys with the black shorts and the white numbers. From way downtown, Kenny Hall connects on a 3. Finland Select on paper looks to really put up points by the bunches, but these defenses have dominated in the early stages. Joshua Blaman with a beautiful assist to Samaje Ainge, and currently the Pointstreak are up 4-0 early, Ben.
Yeah, nice start for them, and you can tell, as I said, just trying to get up and down, especially off the missed baskets. Yeah, Finland Select has looked a little tentative in their half-court set so far, not the best looks offensively, and Pointstreak is making them pay.
Well, working in the low post is Shade Davis, and his scoop shot is off the mark. Rebound picked up by Pointstreak, working from right to left here on our radio dial. And from way downtown, that's Kenny Hall who connects. That's a long two-pointer for the big man who's showing some range as well.
I mean, anytime you have a guy who has that outside threat, that adds so much to a team. And really spreading out Finland Select right now are Pointstreak.
Beautiful pass to the corner, but Joshua Blaman's off the mark. Rebound picked up by Chris Martin of Finland Select. The sidestep in the lane, and Martin's shot is short. However, that's Pointstreak who's able to corral the rebound. Julian Nelson will bring us across the timeline. A fresh shot clock. The pass intended for Hall is picked off. However, loose ball on the floor is still picked up by Finland Select, and they've got numbers. Chris Martin swirls across the timeline, and he'll send this one back out to reset. Chris Martin travels with the basketball on an early turnover. It's been a one-sided affair so far, as we have yet to see a basket picked up by Finland Select early.
Well, we saw that in the last game, too, where an incredibly slow start. I think it was MR Sports took them about 4.5 minutes to get on the board, so it happens. You have a bunch of guys playing together for the first time, and it'll take a while for them to kind of get themselves all together and get that team chemistry. Obviously, you don't have a whole lot of time to do it, just 3 games in this tournament, but not too big of a surprise.
Nick Rice and Ben Wilson on hand here from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. In the early stages of the first quarter, Pointstreak is on the board in a big way. Kenny Davis snares the rebound. That'll be his first of the contest, and the big man will bring it off the floor himself. He's already got 4 points. Cross-court toss headed for Chris Martin, but it's picked off. into the arms of Miles Coleman. He'll bring it coast to coast. Pops up for a long two. Couldn't get the roll. And however, it's picked up by Pointstreak. Julian Nelson hands off to Emmanuel Gunfalou. This is a big man who's got range. We saw him during Session A's tournament when he played for D Las Vegas Casino, but he's off the mark there. It's a good pace that we've seen here in game number 3 of the Session B tournament. However, the scoring's been tough to come by for both teams. We're nearly halfway through the first quarter, and Finland Select has yet to even get on the scoreboard. 6-0. Pointstreak on top. Shot clock violation goes against Finland Select.
Yeah, that first shot never hit the basket. Andre Smith laying it up after the buzzer sounds. Yeah, it feels like there's just a protective lining over the rim right now. A lot of decent looks, not great looks for Finland Select. You'd expect them to be hitting some of those shots, though.
Well, Ben, you just joined us here for Session B, but in Session A, Andre Smith was a monster. Averaged nearly a double-double during his 3 games in the Session A tournament, 16 points, 9.5 rebounds, and also shot 60% from the floor. He hasn't made a shot yet, but he could get going when he has his attempts. From way downtown, yet again, Pointstreak scores. Samanje Ainje scores from 3, and another turnover committed by Finland Select, and they desperately need a timeout, and they'll call it. 5:34 to go in the first quarter. Pointstreak is running away with this game early. Well, Pointstreak is coached by Ricky Cleveland, who has been here for quite some time, and what's even more amazing about this man, he just coached D Las Vegas to a victory in the championship game of the Session A tournament, and then he turns around, coaches a brand new roster here for Session B, and it looks like he picked up right where he left off.
Well, right now Pointstreak certainly looks flying high, and if you're Mikko Larkus, coach for Finland Select, you can't blame him taking an early timeout. More just the guys to get under control. For these players, you come out to the Global Basketball Summer League, obviously the biggest objective, try to get a job, get the scouts' attention, so it can be tough to find that balance between trying to show off your individual skills and playing good team basketball. And I think we're seeing so far, both in Session A and B, it takes some more time, some teams longer than others, to get into that rhythm. So it makes sense if you're Mikko Larkus, just take a timeout and tell your guys just to calm down and try to get into the flow and play the game you know how to play.
Devin Martin, who was an all-star during his years at Maryland Eastern Shore, he brings it across the timeline. He's a super, super talented point guard, a bit small, stands at only 5'11", 195, and he hands off to Miles Coleman. Kenny Hall's got the basketball. He's already been off to a good start today. The extra pass on a beautiful ball movement on this possession finds Kenny Hall. However, he couldn't put it up before the 24-second shot clock violation. One of the rare mistakes for this team in the early stages.
Well, we've seen that issue happen throughout both sessions. It's obviously tough with the shot clock being down at only about 5 feet off the ground. Guys aren't used to having to look over there to see it. We've seen several times a lot of different teams lose sight of that shot clock.
This is a contest between small school Division I guys and some of the best collegiate athletes in all of not only the country but the entire nation. So most of these players are accustomed to the 30-second and even in some instances 35-second shot clock, along with not nearly as competitive of a game. These are a lot of the best athletes. Usually it takes about a quarter or a half to get involved and get comfortable in an all-star game. You've got to hope if you're Finland Select you don't go down too much before you get comfortable. After the miss from Shaid Davis, it's picked up by Pointstreak yet again. They're dominating the boards and also have been the only team to score so far. From way downtown, Yuri Leith is off the mark, but Emmanuel Gunfalou snares the rebound. Boy, Pointstreak is doing just about everything right. Ricky Cleveland and his squad have probably had the best defensive first quarter in any quarter this entire tournament. Boy, what a start for this team. Driving the lane is Yuri Leith, and he lays it in with the right hand.
Yeah, nice finish and a real nice flow right now for Pointstreak. They're in a good rhythm, and you can tell that Finland Select, the longer they go without scoring, just pressing a little bit.
Devin Martin shakes inside, and he throws it out of bounds, but last touched by Pointstreak, I believe off the arms of Roger Lopman. Pointstreak this has got to be the longest time that a team has not scored a single point. For the first time today, it comes with just 3:50 to go in the first quarter. Shaid Davis connects from down low. First points for Finland Select today.
I wonder if that'll maybe open things up for them now that they've got a bucket underneath them. Maybe play a little looser now if you're Finland Select.
Corey Nelson posting up on the much smaller Miles Coleman. Now he kicks it back out, and he finds Yuri Idre, who's off the mark. Rebound picked up by Corey Blackwell. Second chance is short. Shaid Davis snares the rebound for Finland Select. However, he nearly lost the basketball. Davis finally brings it across the timeline, shakes inside, kicks it out, and draws the foul. Beautiful drive inside by the big man. Shaid Davis stands at 6'9", 215. He played in the American Conference at University of Central Florida, so he's a very talented prospect. And early on, he's been one of the few bright spots for this team that actually, as a roster, is about 15 pounds lighter and over 2 inches shorter than the folks at Pointstreak. So that may be another reason why they trail early.
We saw that play a factor in the first game here. Is this three just misses? You had a lot of height earlier from D Las Vegas, and their outside shooting really hurt scouting for you, and it's something that we've seen kind of carry over into a lot of these other games.
Emmanuel Gunfalou is off the mark on the long three. Shaid Davis snares the rebound. Devin Martin brings it across, working against Roger Lotman. That should be a great matchup. Devin Martin draws the foul and nearly had a three-point play opportunity.
And a good speed on that little stutter there from Devin Martin.
Nick Rice and Ben Wilson here with you from the Doolittle Community Center. Obviously, the offenses have not had the type of start that they hoped for coming in, which, even though Finland Select has struggled, the fact that Pointstreak isn't getting too many baskets does make this one a much closer game. As Devin Martin connects on the first. The score.
Well, that's the one thing. If you're if you're struggling to score the basketball, you can still make impacts defensively and try to keep yourself in it, because we have seen throughout this tournament that teams have been susceptible to going on runs. So
Finland Select opens up this game shooting less than 10% from the field through the first 7.5 minutes, and that's why they trail early 11-4. But a couple critical free throws made by Devin Martin, former star at Maryland Eastern Shore. Roger Lotman brings us across the timeline. The 6-foot, 195-pound guard from the Philadelphia Spirits of the ABA. Almost a chance for a three-point play. And boy, if you're Pointstreak, you've got to be thrilled that you've been this dominant on the defensive end early.
Well, I think the main thing for Pointstreak, just forcing Finland to select it, is some uncomfortable off-balance shots. They made them really work the shot clock down, which, as I was saying, in the open, teams have been more wanting to get up and down the floor, get quick shots in transition. So, yeah, it's been tough for Finland to select in their half court, and it's something that if you are Pointstreak, yeah, you just try to keep building off of that and work it into your offensive end. They haven't been playing great either in their own right offensively, but they've been doing enough.
Pointstreak up 13-4. And Finland Select has only made one field goal through almost the entirety of this first quarter. Devin Martin from downtown, that's good. He connects on a very much needed three ball, and Finland Select has responded with a 5-1 run. Very important here in the last couple minutes for Devin Martin. He's got 5 points on the scoreboard.
Well, you're right on with that being much needed, and first shot really from the outside we've seen Finland Select hit all quarter, and now they get a turnover. Roger
Lotman is the man who turns it over, and Lorenzo McLean finishes with the right hand.
That's a nice, strong move to the cup. You see guys so many times on that 2-on-1 try to stutter or maybe get the defender off balance. He just made a no-nonsense move right to the hole and a nice finish.
Samaj Ainge is trying to respond with a basket himself, but he steps out of bounds. A turnover against Pointstreak, who have arguably been by far and away the most dominant team on the floor here, but they only lead by 4.
Oh, and that's the thing. It's a league and a tournament that even if you're up 11, it's still not like it's going to be a blowout. These teams are obviously very talented, very even. It's just a matter of getting into a flow, and we're seeing Finland Select kind of find their rhythm here.
Shaid Davis was stripped but fouled on the way up, so he should head to the line for 2. And just to piggyback off your point, boy, if you're Finland Select, you've got to, with an opportunity like this to go on a rally, you cannot look back or think secondly. You've got to attack and try and get as many points as you can here in this first quarter.
Look up at the scoreboard, you almost forget that they started the first 5+ minutes not hitting anything.
Right.
All of a sudden, it's back to basically a one-possession game if Davis can get one of these free throws.
So we've got ourselves a pretty interesting rally here on hands for the men in white, the Finland Select. The winner of this contest will match up against the winner of Game 4, which will be on tap at around 4 p.m. Pacific time. Meanwhile, tomorrow's contest will all get started with a battle between Scouting for You and MR Sports right back at it at 10 a.m. Meanwhile, D Las Vegas and the Southern Stars will match up in the winner's bracket at noon Pacific time. 1 minute to go here in the first quarter, and a foul. They'll call that one on number 3 of the Blue, Julian Nelson, formerly of Iceland.
And Nelson, he's the second guy we've seen in this tournament who's played at Coker College, Division II in South Carolina, playing for Hamar right now in the Icelandic First League.
Averaged 25 points and 9 rebounds during his time at Iceland. Not half bad. Corey Blackwell controls. Wild shot inside the three-point line, and that's no good. Andre Smith skies for the rebound. Less than a minute to go, first quarter. Finland Select has gone on one monstrous rally here in the last couple minutes, and a foul called on Kenny Hall. And 2 shots coming up. What's the game plan here in the last minute for a Pointstreak team that's been dominant but is starting to give up ground?
Well, I think we've seen a bit of frustration from them defensively, and there's always this tendency when you get up to an early lead, there can be that just natural reaction to kind of slow things down offensively. You feel like you got the game under control, but you look up now, obviously just a 3-point game. I'd like to see them attack a little bit more. We saw the outside shooting work out well early. They've got some really good athletes, obviously, and a lot of length as well. So I'd like to see them try to get into a set a little bit quicker and try to attack the basket.
Boy, well, attacking the basket has been a problem for just about any offense. It's been a very, very impressive start for both defenses, as scoring has been a problem here early. 13-11 Pointstreak on top, but only by 2 after leading 11-2 in the early stages of this first quarter. This is a contest between Pointstreak and Finland Select. The winner of this game will be one step closer to Tuesday's championship game. That will tip off at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Samaje Ainge, the 6'6" guard from New Jersey Thunder of the APBL, will be shooting 2 for Pointstreak to try and stop what has been a pretty long scoring drought for this club.
He was a member of a championship team. His team, the New Jersey
Thunder,
winning the 2015 ABPO, and played at Temple in the late 2000s. So he's a guy who has had Division I experience and won a championship last year in his pro circuit.
And he's controlling your offense, is Samaje Ainge, so that could be something to look out for in their hopes of trying to gather a championship. Less than 15 seconds to go. Beautiful pass to the corner, but Chris Martin's off the mark on the 3. Shot clock unplugged. 10 seconds left. Dunson drives. Wild shot, but the putback is up and good. Samaje Ainge scores, and they're up by 4. Chris Martin at the horn, the half court. He is no good. Pointstreak led by 9 in the first 7 minutes of this ball game, but Finland Select battled back to make it just a 4-point ball game. 10 minutes in the books here from the Doolittle Community Center, and Pointstreak has got to be a little bit frustrated by the way they ended that first quarter, giving up a huge rally in favor of Finland Select.
Well, I think naturally you're going to see things even out, though. I mean, I don't think we would expect Finland Select to keep missing the way they were in that first quarter. I mean, they were absolutely ice cold the first 5.5 minutes or so. So I can't say I'm too surprised that things kind of evened out a little bit. Pointstreak, though, I like the aggressiveness those last couple of possessions. Didn't quite pay off the way they wanted to, but think that you have to be happy. I think if you're Pointstreak, even despite letting Finland Select back into the game, I think they've shown that they have a bit more athleticism and speed in the open court. And for them, it's just a matter of keeping that execution, keeping to not allowing themselves to let up like they did a little bit later on in that quarter.
Through 15 games of the Global Basketball Summer League Tournament, this is the lowest scoring quarter of any quarter throughout this entire deal. So obviously, when you put all of that aside on the offensive end, you've still got yourself a ball game if you're Finland Select. Pointstreak 15, Finland Select 11. As we get started with the second quarter, I've got to be certainly in favor of Ricky Cleveland's club, with Samaje Ainge, as you mentioned, being a championship winner during his time with New Jersey, and also Ricky Cleveland winning the Session 8 tournament. I've got to be thrilled about my chances of being able to keep the lead in this one.
Oh, and you have a guy like C.J. Blackwell. We referenced leadership and bringing that in. He was a guy who played Division I ball at Loyola Marymount, had a good amount of experience at Kentucky Wesleyan, a D2 school, so he knows a lot. He's had a lot of big game experience as well.
Julian Nelson gets us started in the second quarter as Pointstreak gets on the scoreboard, up 17-11. As mentioned just a moment ago, that was the lowest scoring quarter for two teams in any quarter of this entire tournament, both Session A and Session B in the GBSL. Wild shot by Trevon Langston, but Andre Smith grabs the rebound, is hacked and fouled. That'll go on Corey Blackwell of the Men in Blue. That's one of the first personal fouls of the ball game. So not only are these teams not turning it over, but they're also not fouling. That's a good sign for both Finland Select and Pointwell.
Yeah, it has been a pretty clean first half in that regard. We saw the first game we called this morning a little bit choppy. I think the refs weren't really – they were very quick to blow the whistles, and we've referenced that throughout both sessions, these referees in training for D-League assignments. So you kind of get a bit of a variety here, but I think it has been a pretty cleanly played game. We had a couple of 24-second shot clock violations. Besides that, though, yeah, been pretty up and down, and a good flow. Once we've seen Finland start to make some shots, it's really opened things up in both directions.
I'd like to say, given the circumstance, these officials being thrown in on a short notice with players that they're not very familiar with, I'd say these officials are doing a pretty solid job.
I think so, and it's a learning experience for everybody really involved with this, and a great opportunity.
Corey Blackwell of Pointstreak connects from downtown. That'll call that a long two for Pointstreak, and it's back up to 7 for the Men in Blue with the black shorts and the white numbers. Good start for them, led by Ricky Cleveland, and a player in a roster filled with a couple of championship winners. Joshua Blaman with a beautiful pass that's tipped and picked off by Finland Select. Devin Martin up ahead, and his layup is good.
Yeah, that first lob, just not quite enough air on it. A great job getting back, and it creates the run on the other end. Nice finish from Martin.
Cleanly played first quarter, but we've seen a couple turnovers here to start the second from way downtown. That's Shai Davis who hits, and Pointstreak extends its lead up to 8. Devin Martin controls. He is a talented scorer who can strike at any moment. He ranked in the top 5 in the Session 8 tournament, scoring 19.5 points a contest. And he hands off to a man who also is very talented in his own right, Trevon Langston from Southern Utah. Pointstreak 22 and Finland Select 16. Good look by Shai Davis, but he won't take it. Instead, kicks it back out. Spinning in the baseline is Dunston, and he connects. That'll be an 18-footer for Dunston. And Pointstreak continuing to put up points in the second quarter. They've got to be shooting something like 60% since the end of the first.
Well, ball movement has been really nice so far from Pointstreak. They're getting good movement. You know, an example right there. You had a Gunfaloo, a good, seemingly good look, passed it up, and it ended up creating a much better look in the end. And Pointstreak able to capitalize.
Devin Martin inbounds to Miles Coleman. Trevon Langston, Kenny Hall, and Andre Smith are also on the floor for Mikko Larkus and his Finland Select team. Loose ball foul called against Finland Select, so it'll go back over to Pointstreak, who lead 24-16, 7:31 left to go before halftime. As for Ricky Cleveland's crew and Pointstreak, Emmanuel Gunfaloo, along with Roger Lopman, Corey Blackwell, Samaj Ainge, and also Julian Nelson are the 5 on the floor for Pointstreak right now. Corey Blackwell controls, kicks off to Gunfaloo, and the shot is blocked, but picked up by Samaj Ainge. And
they reset the shot clock there when it shouldn't have, so.
12 on the shot clock. That's an unfortunate end to that series because Samaj Ainge looked like he had a clear lane to the basket, but they'll reset it. Nick Rice and Ben Wilson with you here from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. 3 minutes gone by in what's been a pretty high-flying second quarter. The pass is picked off by Miles Coleman, and he slams it down with the right hand.
Oh, man. He get Miles Coleman with the hops. That was impressive.
The guard from Robert Morris, only 6'1".
That might get some scouts' attention, Nick. Wow.
Did he look like 6'1" on that alley? Didn't look like it to me. We saw one man from Session A of the tournament. His name was Doug Anderson. He was actually a former dunk champion in college. I don't know if Miles Coleman was in contention of winning that award, but it appears that he might be the next best thing to Doug Anderson in this tournament, dunking the basketball. That was a beautiful drunk. Devin Martin is off the mark from downtown. Rebound scooped up by Emmanuel Gunfaloo. This man is long and he can score, but he misses there. Rebound picked up by Andre Smith. He averaged 9.5 rebounds during the Session A tournament, and he'll get the assist as Chris Martin scores for Finland Selects.
Bit of a defensive breakdown there from Pointstreak, resulting in an easy lane to the basket and easy finish for Chris Martin.
Emmanuel Gunfaloo, he can hit from there, but he's missed 2 straight. Rebound scooped up by Devin Martin. The men in white, Finland Select, have responded with a 4-0 rally, but that'll come to an end as Samaj Ainge goes coast to coast.
Finland Select obviously playing much better since that, if you erase the first 5.5 minutes.
Well, they had to play better. I mean, they couldn't expect 11 points every quarter.
Exactly. But obviously, you're getting to the point now where things have kind of evened out a little bit, and I'd kind of expect things to remain in this 5-10 point range here for the next few minutes at least.
And you've got to certainly be impressed by the way that this Pointstreak team looks. You see all the confidence in these faces here on the bench as we take our under 6 media timeout. And if you're Pointstreak, you've got quite a few scores on your hand. Julian Nelson scored 25 points a game at Iceland, 18 points a game for the band. You're talking about the champion Samaj Ainge. You've got some scores on your team, and your defense has been the calling card in the first half. That's got to be very encouraging for this team as we hit the last 5:48 before halftime.
Well, it's an interesting thing you point out. I mean, the first game we saw today, when D Las Vegas played scouting free, you had a guy like Mason Archie who came in really touted as a defensive specialist out of IUPUI. He comes out and scores, he goes over 20 points. I think he was at 19 the majority of the game until garbage time. So we're seeing a lot of guys who I think are realizing that good defense a lot of times will create offensive opportunities on the other end. And if you buy into, I think that's what a lot of these scouts that have come here out to the Doolittle Community Center want to see. They want to see guys buying on both ends of the basket because a lot of guys can shoot, a lot of guys can score, but you gotta be able to do it all.
When you hit this stage, you better be able to shoot.
Exactly.
We'll also give another game ball for D Las Vegas is Kenny Barnes from Australia. He come off the bench and got 18 points and 7 rebounds. Not half bad. Pointstreak up 26-20. You can add another 2 onto it as Julian Nelson connects just inside the 3-point line. Devin Martin, he's got 6 points so far for Finland Select. They trail 28-20. They'll feed inside to the big man, 6'10" Andre Smith, who nearly gets the roll, but he turns over the basketball.
They call him for a charge. It looked like a little forearm, tried to hide it a little bit, but definitely got some extension, and refs all over that one.
I've definitely seen more deserving charge calls during my time.
I'm with you on that.
And a game with not many fouls being called, that is an interesting one to call during that stage. Pointstreak 28, Finland Select 20. Neither offense has been remarkable shooting, but it's been Pointstreak who has made enough plays to snag what is an 8-point lead. Under 5 minutes to go before we hit halftime, with Julian Nelson headed to the charity stripe. As we recap what happened earlier today, Las Vegas picking up, as you mentioned, the 15-point win, 185 over Scouting for You. Also, the Southern Stars with an impressive performance, winning 86-83 over MR Sports. And they've got to be a dangerous team who works their way into the winner's bracket. During that game, they shot 51% from the field, 45% from three as well. That's a very potent combination for a team that is one win away from the championship game. Pointstreak up by 9. The feed goes to Davis, who missed it short, and the rebound is picked up by Finland Select, or rather by Pointstreak. My apologies. Samaje Ainge, he's had a hot start today, but he's trapped in the corner, gives to Davis, and they'll reset the offense. 10 to shoot. Now Julian Nelson will connect from downtown. Beautiful stroke by Nelson. That'll be his second 3 of the ball game.
That's a nice looking shot as well. A lot of confidence in that stroke.
Emmanuel Ogunfulu has had a rugged start so far, as he's just 2 for 7 from the field. And after the bad pass is picked up by Devin Martin of Finland Select, he hesitates, floats over the much bigger Kenny Davis, but he misses it short. Up ahead to Yuri Smith, who sidesteps and finishes with the right hand. Pointstreak has got their largest lead of the ball game. 34-20. Finland Select hasn't scored since the 6-minute mark. Right, they are in desperate need of a basket, Ben.
Just as you thought they were kind of making some headway and finding their confident stroke, you get that kind of that sequence where Pointstreak gets a couple baskets, and just like that, it opens up again. That's what I was mentioning earlier too. Is you have so many runs that happen in settings like this where you have an up and down game. So if you're Finland Select, even though they got it back to within a 1-possession game, if you're not careful, things like this can happen, and all of a sudden it's back up to 14.
Right, and we just saw a relatively questionable shot selection thrown up by Chris Martin, who's 6'0". The man he was trying to shoot over was 6'9" Shaid Davis. There have been some questionable shot selections, as Finland Select is looking for their first basket in 3 minutes. All alone from downtown is Ogunfulu, who misses. However, it's William Dunson with a putback.
I was keying in on Dunson there. A nice little head fake to get himself inside. What that does, too, is even though he didn't shoot, got himself in a great position for an offensive board and got the putback all in one motion, gets a rebound right here and can push.
Kenny Davis tried to respond but lays up a brick, but a foul called on Kenny Davis on the pass. So it will be a side out for the men in blue, the Pointstreak. Very interesting foul, because while there's no arguing, Kenny Smith did step into the restricted lane and shove his body forward. If he committed the foul a half-second later, it could have been an and-one opportunity. Backcourt violation called against Finland Select. And that is indicative of their first half struggles so far. Just mentally not quite as sharp as their opponent. It's just been a tremendous all-around basketball game by Pointstreak, as Finland Select only has 22 points on the scoreboard. Beautiful steal by Chris Martin, and he'll do it himself. Lays it in with the left hand.
A nice job by Chris Martin, able to make up for that mental lapse on the out-of-bounds play. You could tell he was really upset with himself and got himself active in the defensive lane there.
Emmanuel Ogunfulu controls over to Corey Blackwell. They've got a 10 to shoot. Good ball movement on this possession, as Finland Select has struggled to stop this team in transition in the second quarter. Boy, it's just been an all-around great basketball game. Finland Select still only down by 10, though, because their defense has been able to stop them from making threes. That's been the one big difference. Pointstreak not getting much going from outside.
And this has really followed the pattern we saw in the first 2 games earlier this morning and then into the afternoon, where the teams that have, and it obviously sounds obvious to say, but the teams who've been able to make shots from the outside, putting themselves in a much better position, especially with how up and down the pace has been.
Another shot in the paint, that time by Corey Blackwell. He's had a sensational first half. and he nearly gets credited with the steal on the pass by Lorenzo McLean. Yuri Leith will check in for Julian Nelson of Pointstreak. 2:13 to go with 21 on the shot clock. Pointstreak has been scoreless in the last 90 seconds. Emmanuel Gunfalo spins, beautiful move, and he lays it in.
Well, we saw Finland Select make a little run at the end of the first quarter, get themselves back in it. You obviously don't want to keep waiting till the end of these quarters to do that, but you have to. It's obvious that the sense of urgency is there right now.
Yeah, how about the first 8 minutes?
Right, that would help.
Roger Lotman tucks and travels. That's a turnover against Pointstreak, and that's got to be something like the third or fourth turnover. That's it for this team. Pretty solid overall half. Ricky Cleveland, what are your thoughts of this coach and how he's been able to prepare his team?
Well, I think as a coach, you want to keep it simple. You know what the goal is for these players. You want to put them in the best case scenario to show off their skills. And I think all the coaches really have done a pretty good job in at least implementing some sort of basic offense that's easy to learn and understand.
That's Shahid Davis with a finish. William Dunstan will be credited with the assist as Finland Select has gone on an 8-2 rally in the last 2 minutes, cutting the lead down to just 8 points. From way downtown, that's Corey Blackwell, and that makes it a 10-point ball game again. His foot was on the line, so the score reached 38-28 with just 80 seconds to go. Cross-court toss goes to William Dunstan, and he'll feed the big man again. Catch and shoot for Shahid Davis, and he's off the mark. Corey Blackwell spins into the lane, and he hands off to Emmanuel Gunfalo, and he draws the foul. And Ricky Cleveland of Pointstreak will call a timeout. Well, he's hoping to call a timeout, and finally he gets one with 59 seconds to go in the second quarter. They've got it from their starters. Also, very valiant contributions being made from their bench, and Pointstreak is up by 10.
Well, I like that timeout, too, because you're up 10. We saw what happened in the first quarter where they played a kind of sloppy last 120 seconds or so. So I think if you're Ricky Cleveland, you identify that your team has been better overall so far. You've got a chance to try to push this open a little bit right before the half. Obviously, 10 isn't – it's a comfortable margin, but not obviously huge by any means. So I think trying to keep the intensity and the focus in for the last 59 seconds is the purpose and focus here of this timeout.
Finland Select, the team trailing by 10, has had quite a few good looks from downtown, but for the most part, they haven't been able to hit them. In a situation like this, with 59 seconds left in the second quarter, do you continue to hope those threes eventually fall, or do you go away from it and try to attack the paint?
Well, I think Finland Select just needing to identify their strengths so far, and they've been solid when they get open looks down low with more ball movement, but right now they haven't really been getting a whole lot of respect from Pointstreak in that regard. Pointstreak, we've seen them kind of sag back just a little bit, try to clog the lane because of the fact that Finland Select's struggling from the outside. So I think first you got to start hitting a couple shots to earn that and space out the floor just a little bit better, because as we all know, I mean, that one thing leads to another. When you're able to start hitting those perimeter shots, you can really free up some space, and it's all about spacing if you're Finland Select, especially with a lot of the athleticism they have on the team. So
now, Pointstreak got this one started with preventing Finland Select from scoring a single point through the first 7 minutes of this game, and en route to an 11-2 start, and also the lowest scoring first quarter in any of these quarters throughout the entire tournament. 15-11 they led, and they have begun to pull away here in the second quarter. As he goes 1 for 2, does Emmanuel Gunfalo from the free throw line. 39-28 is our score. Finland Select on the offensive end, desperately needing a basket down the stretch. Shahid Davis leans, couldn't get any room, kicks back out for 3, off the mark there, but the rebound is poked away and still will remain with Finland Select, off the arms of Joshua Blaman for Pointstreak. Only a discrepancy of 20 between the shot and game clock. 43 seconds to go in the second quarter. This is a very pivotal offensive sequence for Finland Select. And a loose ball foul called against Pointstreak. That'll go on number 9, Emmanuel Gunfalo. And a timeout will be called by Mikko Larkus and Finland Select. 38 seconds to go in the second quarter. And Ben, you've got to just be so thrilled about Pointstreak attacking the ball in every sequence. I have been so impressed with this team and their ability to play defense.
Well, that's what we were saying kind of towards the end of the first quarter. We wanted to see them show that intensity and keep pushing the pace. It's funny that you mentioned how big of an imperative of an offensive possession this is coming up for Finland Select, trying to get it back within single digits before the half. So it makes sense that Coach Larkus using his one of his 2 first-half timeouts just to get his guys set up for this possession. Obviously, that was just the first foul of the last 2 minutes, so both teams now, the next foul will be in the bonus, so you can afford to be more aggressive offensively, knowing that these defenses, they obviously don't want to be, not that they really think a whole lot about the fouls with it being Summer League and everything, but you want to keep that aggression, and I think Coach Lark is trying to set up one thing here, trying to get a little bit of momentum going into the halftime break.
Well, Finland Select will bring 5 players on the floor to try and spark some offense, and none of those players is a man named Devin Martin. This man is an ultra-talented player from the Maryland Eastern Shore, but he's not even on the floor. Very interesting decision for this team, and they will inbound to Trevon Langston. He's a talented product from Southern Utah University. He fires a 3. That one will end up short, and the rebound is wrestled for and picked up by Yuri Leith of Pointstreak. Well, 2 offensive tries for Finland Select, and they're off the mark on both.
Oh, and then you get that over the back foul by Kenny Hall, results in Pointstreak now getting to shoot free throws at the other end. So that's where that's the case where aggressiveness offensively can kind of hurt you sometimes, especially in a situation like this where you're in the bonus under 2 minutes.
And a man who led the Stockton Ospreys, one of the better small school Division I schools in the country. He led them in 3-pointers and scoring in 2 different seasons. He's to the line to shoot 2, so this may be as close to automatic as it gets, as he made the first, and to no avail, he made the second. 6-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Finland Select trails by 13 points. Their offense has been nowhere to be found throughout most of the ball game. Throughout huge stretches at least. Trevon Langston kicks over to the corner. William Dunston thought about a 3. Instead, he works inside, and he's doubled. Back out to Langston. Only 3 to shoot. Spinning inside. Wild shot is blocked. And it will stay with Finland Select with 1 on the shot clock.
Oh, Josh Blaman, what an impressive move there offensively to not bite on that spin move and get the big rejection.
Langston over to Davis, catch and shoot, doesn't even hit the rim. 24-second shot clock violation. Finland Select has had 4 straight offensive possessions and has missed shots on every single one of them. What a performance by Pointstreak on the defensive end, as Finland Select is 6 seconds away from a team's lowest scoring first half of this entire tournament. What a performance by Pointstreak.
Well, and that last possession indicative of that, not being too over-aggressive defensively, staying home into your lanes and assignments, and for there, Josh Blaman just being in the right spot, and it's due to that discipline and not really biting. It was a pretty kind of heady spin move, I thought, by Langston to create some space, get himself in the lane, but Blaman right there for the rejection, and now I like the timeout call here by Coach Cleveland, where you've got the chance to get something set up, 6 full seconds, plenty of time to go the length of the court.
Well, you're granted only 2 timeouts for each team per half, so it's one of those use it or lose it timeouts, and Ricky Cleveland on the ball here, calling a quick 30 seconds to get his crew together. Well, Pointstreak leading 41-28. We'll go with the services of Kenny Hall along with Emmanuel Gunfalou, Corey Blackwell, Yuri Leith, Joshua Blaman, and that'll be a Gunfalou who'll inbound for Pointstreak. Joshua Blaman controls with 2 to shoot. Wild throw, that's a turnover, and that will end what has been a defensive tussle. 2 quarters complete here from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pointstreak allowed 0 points through 7 minutes of action here from the GBSL Session B tournament, and at halftime they lead by 13. Ben, before we hit our break, what are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, Finland's not all of their struggles have been solely due to Pointstreak's defense. They just have to hit more shots, and I think they'll probably come around. Things usually normalize in a situation like this, so I think they'll be a little bit much better in the second half. At least I hope for their sake they are.
We've got a very entertaining second half on our hands after this quick word from our GBSL stations. This is the Global Basketball Summer League Session B tournament. Second half action between Pointstreak and Finland Select coming up in 5 minutes. Around, big fella. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah. Yeah. What about live? What's going on live? Wow. One 3-pointer. Oh my gosh. Wow. Emmanuel a gun flute.
We got our halftime stats.
One 3-pointer, and they shot 20% in the first quarter.
Pointstreak, so this is a number 7 dude. They just didn't have him. He was just a late addition.
Oh, okay.
Number 7. It's not. I realize Kenny Holmes is number
Bryce
8.
Masambe. Okay.
Yeah. He's just a late addition.
Yeah, it'll be easier tomorrow because these rosters are finally finalized. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I got mine. 20 minutes. I got here. I got my roster like 9:20. So.
Yeah. We were going to make mistakes. Welcome back, folks, to Game 3 of Session B's Day 1 GBSL the Global Basketball Summer League Tournament, as Pointstreak and Finland Select have got themselves in a defensive affair. Score at the half is 41-28 in favor of Ricky Cleveland's Pointstreak, and they've done it from a number of ways. As you look at the stat sheet for our first half, what stands out most to you?
Well, I think for me, it's Finland Select. You mentioned the lowest scoring half of the entire Summer League. Finland Select just only 3 of 15 from the field in the first quarter, only 31% overall. That just has to get better, plain and simple, if they want to get back into this ball game. And the efficiency has been so much better for Pointstreak, and it really comes down to the shot selection. They've been creating a lot better looks for themselves.
Another miss for one of the few players that have struggled in this game, Bryce Musambe for Pointstreak. And that leads to a basket the other way for Coleman. 41-30 in the early stages. Well, the problem with Finland Select was their offense in the first quarter, shooting 3 for 15. That's 20%. That's it. Their defense hasn't been half bad. However, they will commit a foul here, as that'll go on number 5 of Finland Select's Trevon Langston from Southern Utah.
And the coach is wanting a goaltend as well.
He's going to shoot when he feels the contact. That's when he takes his mind. So what was that?
Well, we had a late addition to our roster before we just got this one started. Pointstreak adding in Bryce Musambe. He finished the first half 2 for 3 from the field with 4 points, along with an assist and 2 rebounds. The leading scorer for Pointstreak, wearing the blue with the white numbers, is Corey Blackwell, finishing with 10 points on 4 of 7 shooting, also with 4 rebounds and a steal in 13 minutes. He's most certainly got the game ball for them. Miles Coleman whirls across the timeline, hands off to Martin, the extra pass to his brother Chris Martin, and he connects from downtown. That'll be a long 2 for Chris Martin, and Finland Select scores 4 points in the first minute of the third quarter. Nick Rice, Ben Wilson on hand here from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pointstreak, a commanding lead going into the break by 13 points. It's been cut down to 11, and they've got the basketball with 10 to shoot, 8:48 on the third quarter game clock.
Well, we mentioned coming into halftime, Finland Select certainly would need a flurry out of the break if they wanted any chance. You like the increased intensity out of the locker room from them.
Joshua Blayman lays up a brick, barely hitting the rim. Rebound scooped up by Andre Smith of Finland Select, and he turns over the basketball. Julian Nelson in transition, hands off to Joshua Blayman, who takes a hard foul on the baseline. That'll go on Devin Martin of Finland Select. And that will be put in the books as Devin Martin's just first personal foul and the second team foul for this club in the third quarter. When we look at the stat sheet, and the other dominant statistic that gave Pointstreak their 13-point halftime lead, they shot 52% from the field, and then they connected on 10 of 15 shots in that second quarter. And that, while they didn't take too many shot attempts, they've knocked down nearly every one of them, giving them the lead.
Well, that's what I was mentioning, just that efficiency with creating good shots, and that's what, again, we talk about what scouts want to look for here, because the objective being getting jobs. It's not necessarily just taking a shot because you're open. It's creating the best possible shot for your team. And there's a good example there. Finland Select hasn't done that a whole lot today, but Devin Martin, a nice look and able to can the 3.
Devin Martin's an ultra-talented scorer. He's got 10 points on 3 of 7 shooting. Bad pass and a turnover by Joshua Blayman. Chris Martin hands off to Blackwell, who missed the dunk, and is picked up by Shaid Davis. Well, that's just a bad dunk attempt when you've got a chance to put in an easy layup. Pointstreak up 45-35 with 2 minutes gone by here in the third quarter. Julian Nelson's shot was blocked, and it's picked up by Devin Martin, who hands off to Chris Martin, and he's good from downtown. And that is just the second three-pointer made by Finland Select on 8 attempts.
figured they'd start to heat up a little bit, and they certainly have now. All of a sudden, it's back down to a 7-point game.
And a hold inside by Andre Smith. That'll be the big man's 4th personal foul already. And for a team in Finland Select that has struggled to score, Andre Smith is 2 fouls away from being fouled out, which could be a problem for this team down the stretch. Well, the beautiful inbounds goes to Julian Nelson, who's trapped to the baseline and has to kick it back out. That's Bryce Masambe, the big man, working the offense. Hands off to a Gunfaloo, who kicks out. That's Joshua Blaman. 2 to shoot, so he has to launch up a prayer, and it hits the rim. And a loose ball foul called against Miles Coleman on the floor, and they will take it out with a fresh shot clock. And another fortuitous foul called against Finland Select. Well, when you've got the ball not rolling your way, shots not going down, and now you're committing fouls like that, that's got to be very frustrating for this team.
Well, Miles Coleman, he missed that huge dunk attempt a moment ago, kind of in disbelief. They called him for that.
That's right.
Rough couple of sequences for him.
Beautiful ball movement on this possession, touching every player on the offense, but it's tipped out of bounds off of Finland Select, 15 to shoot. You don't see too many teams in this tournament pass to every player like that. What a sequence for this team offensively. That's Bryce Masambe who hits the deck. One of the few times you see a big man like that hit the floor.
That's a lot of... It's a big body in the deck there. It's funny.
I'm shocked that didn't knock our papers off this table.
Trevon Langston tried to argue that was a flop, and obviously him colliding into the hip there of Andre Smith. Couple of big bodies meeting.
I think he's got a good argument. Emmanuel Gunfaloo is stripped, no foul, despite a lot of contact, and is picked up by Finland Select. The kick out to Devin Martin, who's already made 2 threes and make it a third. He's good from downtown. And that Pointstreak lead that was at 13 points in the second quarter, it's all the way down to 4 now. And Finland Select is rolling on the offensive end. Well, Joshua Blaman tried to respond with a 3-pointer of his own. That one's no good. Wild drive inside by Trevon Langston, but he draws the foul. Langston is incredibly lucky as the foul goes on Bryce Masambe. Langston, I think he was very lucky he got the foul there.
Yeah, a little bit out of control on the fast break, but I think the bigger point, though, all of a sudden a 4-point game. Finland Select playing with a lot more confidence in this third quarter.
Trevon Langston was just 1 for 5 from the field with 2 points and 2 rebounds. His first free throw attempt of the game is good. Pointstreak going with nearly an entirely different lineup as Roger Lopman, Corey Blackwell, and Yuri Leith check onto the floor in favor of Emmanuel Gunfaloo, along with Nelson and Snow. Also bringing Julian Nelson back into the game for Pointstreak. Boy, what a basketball game so far. It's been all Finland Select in the third quarter, despite having a pretty rugged first quarter shooting percentage and also not playing too well in certain moments defensively. After the miss, the rebound's picked up by Corey Blackwell of Pointstreak. Masambe orchestrating the offense, hands off to Leith. Leith leans inside and nearly able to power his way to the basket, but draws the foul. And we'll head to the line to shoot 2. That'll go on number 8 of Finland Select. They'll call that one against Kenny Hall. Well, Kenny Hall has now just committed his second personal foul. And that will be the 6th team foul for Finland Select in the third quarter. Only 1 against Pointstreak. Well, as mentioned earlier, this is Game 3 of the Global Basketball Summer League Session B tournament, as the winner of this contest will advance to the winner's bracket to take on the victor of the contest later on today when the DMV All-Stars take on Windsor Express. Beautiful feed into the lane. It finds the arms of Trevon Langston, but he misses. However, that's Miles Coleman who grabs the rebound. Fresh shot clock. Finland Express down by 4, and Roger Lopman will be credited with the beautiful steal. However, That's Julian Nelson who turns it over. Pointstreak, as expected, was very efficient on the offensive end, but I'm actually shocked by this number. Pointstreak committed 13 turnovers in that first half. I don't believe that.
I mean, I think
very interesting number.
It is, and I think it was more just, the up and down nature. We had a couple of 2-3 minute stretches that were very ragged, especially at the start of the game.
Teams just trading turnovers, yeah.
And that was, I think, more what you see with that number. But right, because it seemed to us like, at least comparatively, when you look at Pointstreak versus Finland Select, Pointstreak was handling the basketball a lot more efficiently and more concisely as well.
Pointstreak credited with 11 assists, Finland Select with 2. That was the big difference in what was a pretty effective first half shooting the basketball for Pointstreak. 52% from the field, 43% from beyond the arc. In a game that Pointstreak has handled in quite a few instances, but only leads by 4. 5:46 remaining in the third quarter here from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. This may not grab the attention of maybe a D-League NBA summer game or maybe some of our summer league contests overseas, but still this is a very important contest with quite a few players who we will hear of again at the next level.
Right, and we were mentioning this in our first game today with Zane Knowles, a guy who came here 2 summers ago and ended up getting a job in Japan. So there's, international basketball, there's a lot of different countries and leagues to get jobs with, and this has really established itself, this league in particular, a place where guys can get that showcase out. We've seen a lot of scouts today in the stands, especially, throughout the early games into this afternoon session. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's fun for us to watch how these guys handle the pressure of knowing this is one of their best opportunities to get a look internationally.
Well, Devin Martin's had a couple good looks but couldn't connect there. While some folks may look at the crowd and look at the fact that the stands aren't entirely full and may say, well, what's the pressure on these players? There is a lot of pressure because
they know.
Because of the implications to the next level. It doesn't matter if there's one person in the stands or if there's a million people in the stands. This is a very important game and the pressure is on these players. Finland Select trails by 4. They've got it offensively. Beautiful toss finds Devin Martin. He leans inside against Lotman and finishes on the baseline.
I really like what I've seen from Devin Martin. He's been able, after that slow start, obviously the whole Finland Select team started slow, but he's really gotten himself into this ballgame.
Wild drive inside by Julian Nelson. He missed it short. Finland Select, that's Devin Martin for the lead, and it's no good. However, it's Finland Select who snares the rebound. Chris Martin from downtown, and he's no good. That's Masambe on the board. Pointstreak has been moving in transition and could have had another makeable basket. Julian Nelson missed that one short.
I think we're seeing Pointstreak start to press just ever so slightly as this lead is dwindled here in the third quarter.
Yeah, some of those open looks that they were making in the first half, they are missing in the third quarter. Trevon Langston hands off to the baseline. Devin Martin catch and toss. That's another great look for Devin Martin, and he's off the mark. And a foul called on the floor against Trevon Langston, and that'll give Roger Lotman an opportunity to gather himself as he hit the floor pretty hard. And Ben, Finland Select, you just can't help but root for this team to grab the lead, but they've had 3 straight wide open looks, 2 by Devin Martin, 1 by Chris Martin, and they've missed all 3 of them in hopes of getting the lead.
Still, though, I mean, the way they played this third quarter, obviously probably 5-6 times better than the first half, and they're playing with a lot more confidence. Now this game has turned really into a game anybody can win. Right.
Finland Select trailed by 13 at halftime. They're now only down by 2. 46-44, Pointstreak on top as a Gunfaloo lays up a brick. That's an air ball again for a Gunfaloo who's really gone quiet, library quiet in this third quarter. Step back jumper on a beautiful spin move by Shaid Davis, and he's no good. 0 for the last 5 from the field for Finland Select. They've been scoreless in 2 minutes. The kick out goes to Masambe, and the big man nearly scores from 18 feet away. And the rebound scooped up by Shaid Davis. Chris Martin wide open again, and he scores, but stepped out of bounds.
Tough break there. Chris Martin, you could tell he was
That's
in rhythm, ready for that shot, and just had the heel of his right foot right on the sideline.
Sorry to cut you off, but doesn't that feel a little bit like this team nearly the whole ball game? The story has been they always seem to cut it close, but when they get a shot to take the lead, something happens that keeps them behind. A turnover there, and it leads to a basket on the other end. Samaje Ainge is good on the lay-in. 48-44. Finland Select has never led in this game. Chris Martin a step back three, and it's nothing but the backboard, but the putback by Shahid Davis is good. Well, he's been able to clean the boards with relative regularity, and that's been an important part of this team in the third quarter.
Well, it's keeping him in it as well. But right as we say that, though, and Corey Blackwell, another nice shot.
Yeah, he's good from downtown. He's got to, I believe, have at least 2 3-pointers. We'll give you an update on that when we have that statistic to you. 50-46 in favor of Pointstreak. Beautiful lob goes into the lane to Ogunfulu, but he's instead going to hand off, and the step-back jumper is up and good. Shahid Davis credited with the basket. The man from UCF makes it a 2-point ball game. Man-to-man defense for Finland Select, and they get the call. An offensive charge called against Julian Nelson. And we've got a timeout on the floor. 2:03 to go here in the third quarter. Finland Select has scrapped and clawed their way back in this game. Can they grab the lead for the first time? The final 2:03 of the period coming up when we get back from this timeout, in which, following timeouts, Ricky Cleveland has almost every time dialed up a play that leads to a basket.
Well, and this is more of a, I feel like here with our under 3 timeout, more just kind of a reset for both teams, as you've seen Finland Select, a good adjective by you, fight, claw back in it. Really, both teams, I think, realizing now that they're in a dogfight, anybody's game, and so getting that second win too. You know, your first game of 3. I know a couple of these guys have played in Session A, but when you come out and you have a 3-game tournament, you obviously have so much adrenaline pumping that first quarter. I think we saw that affect Finland Select a little bit, just a little bit out of rhythm, I would say, on their jump shots. But now that both teams have kind of gotten into a flow, they are learning how to play with each other. It's time to now find your second rhythm, or your second wind of sorts, with about 12 minutes of actual time on the clock. If you pretend like this is an NBA game, you're basically starting the fourth quarter right now.
You only can imagine what Finland Select would be looking at as far as how many points they put up on the board if they hadn't gone scoreless in the first 7 minutes of this game. We can only imagine what type of score we've been looking at right now. Instead, Pointstreak led 11-2 to start the action. However, Finland Select airballs a 3 that could have given them the lead. William Dunstan, that's got to be at least the second or third miss for this man. He's had a rugged performance today.
He's a good athlete. I think his strength is more trying to drive to the basket, get looks from in close, but he's a couple times tried to shoot falling away from the outside.
Pointstreak, good ball movement again on this possession. They had 11 assists in that first half and even more in the third quarter. Masambe hands off with only 4 on the shot clock, and the pass into the lane intended for Kenny Hall is poked and will be a turnover. Finland Select, they have had opportunity after opportunity to grab the lead. Can they finally do it? Miles Coleman controls, throws, and nearly turns it over. However, it will stay with Finland. Nope, my apologies. It will go over to Pointstreak. We don't have the number on what the shooting percentage and offensive efficiency is for this Finland Select team when they have a chance to grab the lead, but it's got to be pretty bad. They've had so many opportunities to grab the lead and have just looked out of sorts when they have those opportunities.
Well, getting over the hump, especially when you were down 13-14 like Finland Select was earlier, is obviously easier said than done, and we've seen Pointstreak really try to latch on and close things up defensively once they've all of a sudden found themselves only up a possession.
Samaje Ainge posting up in the lane, instead kicks it out to Masambe. The extra pass goes to the baseline, but he steps out of bounds, does Corey Blackwell, and another turnover for Pointstreak. They had 13 turnovers at Pointstreak in the first half, and more turnovers in the third have kept Finland Select in this game.
Pointstreak, nine points in this third quarter.
Blackwell's drive, his shot is blocked away, picked up by Masambe, and a loose ball foul called against Finland Select. That'll go on number 8, Kenny Hall. And Masambe, the big man, will head to the charity stripe to shoot 2. Finland Select has yet to lead in this basketball game, and they've made things a little bit tougher after missing some shots down the stretch. And now a foul will send Masambe to the line to shoot 2 more. 47 seconds left in the third quarter. Win or loss, you've got to be thrilled by the effort on the defensive end by both teams. This has been one of the most lowest scoring games through 3 quarters in this entire tournament. It was the lowest scoring first quarter of the tournament, and these defenses have not let up. Masambe goes 1 for 2 at the line, making it a 3-point game, and they turn it over to Shai Davis of Finland Select. That's indicative of what the offenses look like in this quarter.
Yeah, it's just those little things, and they add up, and we've had a couple of mental gaffes so far from Finland Select here in this third quarter.
Masambe from downtown. Rims in, then out. Rebound scooped up by Finland Select. Shai Davis controls again, pumps, and hands off into the lane. He has his man Dunstan, who kicks to the corner. That's an open look for Blackwell from downtown, and he connects.
Another nice look, kind of making up for that missed dunk earlier. All of a sudden, we got a tie game. First time since early in the first quarter.
This may be the final offensive possession for Pointstreak with 18 seconds to go. Crowd on its feet. One of the loudest sequences of this entire tournament. Masambe, wild pass, throws into the lane. That shot's no good. And Finland Select has the basketball with 7 seconds left. Finland Select's bench is erupting in the last 30 seconds, and understandably, a chance to grab the lead for the first time. 5 seconds, down to 4. Miles Coleman for the lead, in and out, but a foul. And Miles Coleman will go to the will be a side out. Loose ball foul called on the floor. And the referees are negotiating on what the call is, and it should be an opportunity for at least 2 free throws. And we're looking at 2 shots. Miles Coleman, if he only makes one of these, Finland Select will snare the lead for the first time today. What a comeback by this team that looked dead to rights at halftime. Their offense still does not look pretty at all, but an opportunity here to put themselves into it.
Well, they've hit a couple of perimeter shots, and that's really kind of given them some new life. You were waiting for them to hit kind of anything and get something going, and it's a combination of that and the struggles on the other end. Only the 11 points now, actually only 10 points.
Actually, Ricky Cleveland makes a great point. Ricky Cleveland's making a great point because technical foul called against the head coach of Pointstreak, Ricky Cleveland. He's right. It is the first foul under 2 minutes. I called it to be a side out, but we're looking at 3 free throws now coming up for Finland Select.
Well, this is we're going to see, as we've been mentioning it.
Ben, am I right on that? Am I?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. And Ricky Cleveland's right on that too. Okay,
well, as soon as we saw the call that it was off the ball, and you look at it's 18 fouls for them at the time.
Right, and they've got every right to be frustrated because this has been a quarter where Pointstreak's had so many opportunities to run away with this game, but their offense just somehow, some way has self-destructed. Turnovers have been part of the problem. What have you seen by this team in the third quarter in which they've only scored 10 points since halftime?
I think it's just their reliance on the perimeter shots and not really being in rhythm, more or less. Also, I think there's been a couple of 50-50 calls and plays that have gone against them, and you can tell that we're sitting right next to the Pointstreak bench, guys that play with a lot of energy, but also emotion, and it can be obviously a great thing when you're winning, but it can also hurt you when things start going wrong. And
right,
we're going to hear what the we're about to see what the call is going to be over here.
Well, remember,
it looks
these
like they are taking away the free throw.
As it should be, taking away the free throw. So we're still tied at 59, and the official here on the near side are certainly explaining the situation. As we try and figure out the situation, we first got to remind all the folks who are listening on the Global Basketball Summer League Network that these officials are going through their summer kinks, trying to iron out this stuff and figure this out as well. They've got a tryout process in the Summer League too.
I think the players and coaches, they understand that, but that doesn't make them any more accepting of it because they're the ones still competing for jobs in their own right.
Right. Miles Coleman made a free throw that did not count because the referees did mistake it, and we will have a sad out with the score still tied at 51. Coleman will inbound, and he rifles over to Blackwell, who almost missed the entire backboard. And instead of Finland Select looking on their way to a sizable lead, we are tied at 51 here from the Doolittle Community Center. 3 quarters in the books here from Las Vegas, Nevada. We've got ourselves a good one on hand. 51-51 is our score between Pointstreak and Finland Select. And it's just the motto by so many of our greats in this game, in basketball and in all of sports. Great teams figure out a way to win. Bad teams figure out a way to lose. Finland Select, you've got to commend their ability to come back, but for some reason, I've got a bad feeling about this team simply because whenever it seems that there's an opportunity to run away with this game, they always seem to self-destruct somehow, some way.
I think the reason we might be inclined to think that just because Finland Select, their roster, it's just not quite as flashy. They've got a lot of guys who are very solid players, but with the exception of Miles Coleman, who can get up and had a big dunk earlier, they really need to execute more. Pointstreak has a lot more, I wouldn't say a ton more emotion, but they do have guys who have a little bit more versatile skill sets. I do think that with some of the officiating struggles in this and the way we've gone back and forth, it's going to make a very interesting fourth quarter. And I wonder if the chippiness might actually help Finland Select a little bit because they were the ones who in that third quarter, once things got a little bit sloppy, they, being a solid team, they were able to kind of weather that storm and claw their way back into it.
We're tied at 51 between Pointstreak and Finland Select in what's been a back-and-forth seesaw basketball game. Nick Rice, Ben Wilson here from the Doolittle Community Center in Game 3 of the Session B tournament for day number 1. Shot clock down to 8 as Snow is muscling inside, and he scores. Finland Select with the lead for the first time today.
Beautiful move from the big guy. Nice job knowing where he was on the court.
Man-to-man defense for Finland Select. Pointstreak has only scored 10 points since halftime. They had 41 through the first 2 quarters. Masambe muscling inside. He kicks out to the corner. That's Joshua Blaman for 3, and that's good. Blaman from downtown. That'll give Pointstreak the 1-point lead.
And just beating the buzzer as well.
Our scorekeeper is still trying to figure out if that's a 2 or a 3. That looked like a 3. Devin Martin muscling inside. He's double but shoots anyways and scores. What a move by Devin Martin against the double.
Martin has really come on in the second half. He's only hit a couple threes in that comeback third quarter and the go-ahead shot right there.
That's got to be a shot selection if you're the coaching staff where they are screaming for him not to take it, but he takes it anyways and knocks it down. Devin Martin now with 19 points, leading Finland Select. In fact, leading both teams and all players in scoring. Masambe rifles a 3 but traveled first. And Finland Select, after a couple lead changes, has the ball in a 1-point lead. Substitutions in as Julian Nelson will check into the lineup, subbing out Joshua Blaman. Finland Select 55, Pointstreak 54, 8:26 left to go, fourth quarter. What a basketball game in which Pointstreak led 11-2 to start off this ball game in the late stages of the first quarter. And they led by as many as 13. Nels and Devin Martin is good from downtown again. He's got 4 3-pointers.
It feels like a completely different ball game from when we started out. and it's Pointstreak now doing the chasing.
Ricky Cleveland may want to burn a timeout, but the second chance putback is up and good by Julian Nelson. 58-56, Devin Martin across the timeline here for Finland Selects. They have had a remarkable second half resurgence on the offensive end. Turnover, but Devin Martin is there to save Finland Select with just, they reset the shot clock now at 19 seconds. Martin will drive himself, powers in the lane, but airballs the layup. And the rebound scooped up by Corey Blackwell. Fast pace to start the fourth quarter. Count it, and a foul. A chance for a three-point play. Samaje Ainge, who had no points in the second half, scores for the first time since midway through the second, and a chance for a three-point play.
We called his name an awful lot that first half. Hadn't really seen him a whole lot here in the second half. That's a great way to get yourself back involved, and it kind of snaps this big run Finland Select has been on, and now we're back to a tie game here.
Couldn't get the friendly roll. Samaje Ainge scored 8 points on 4 of 5 shooting in that first half. Nothing in the third quarter. Miles Coleman was off the mark from downtown. We are tied at 58 with 7:05 to go. He rifles the pass underneath to Samaje Ainge, and after the big-time bucket with the foul by Ainge, he turns it over on the next possession. 8. Martin against the double. Kicks over to the corner. That's the other Martin for 3. That's good. Chris Martin, or my apologies, that will not be Chris Martin. Samaje Ainge, who had an ice-cold fourth quarter here until that basket, makes it a 9-point lead. Finland Select is beginning to run away with this game. Masambe kicks out to Corey Blackwell. That three's no good, but Masambe scrambles, and he saves it for Pointstreak. Timeout called with 3:41 to go in the fourth quarter, as a lead that almost felt insurmountable at halftime for Pointstreak has not only evaporated, but Finland Select has taken a strong stranglehold on this game. Boy, they seem to be unstoppable on the defensive end.
Well, I think this is what happens when you have two teams that are, obviously pretty similar, and that's what all these teams are here at the GBSL. And with the talent levels, you can't really afford to sit back. And obviously, we were expecting Finland to eventually come around, find their shot, and it certainly has. And I think you had that combination of officiating struggles a little bit that's upset Pointstreak, and a team that has a lot of guys who have very colorful personalities, really show a lot of emotion on the court, which has hurt them a little bit here in the second half, as they just haven't been able to get anything going.
Do you think that that's part of the problem? Maybe they've gotten a bit too excited after they grabbed that 13-point lead?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think it was more them, I think, just assuming that Finland wasn't really the Finland Select team didn't have the capability to make some of those outside shots. They started, as we mentioned in the first half, they really weren't giving them a lot of respect and not really challenging them on those outside shots. And now we've seen both the Martins, Chris Martin, and Trevon Langston really pick it up from the outside, and it's just killed Pointstreak.
Boy, the offense for Pointstreak, still putting out a search warrant for it. We haven't been able to find that offense in the fourth quarter. What do you do to wake up this crew with 3:41 to go?
Well, we've seen them really go away from that spacing. They've been very stagnant in the offensive sets.
Shot clock is set to 22. Officials trying to put it down to 21. 3:39 to go fourth quarter. Still anyone's ball game here from the Doolittle Community Center, otherwise known as William J. Haynes Gym in Las Vegas, Nevada. Nick Rice along with Ben Wilson on hand here in a ball game that has been dominated by the defense. Corey Blackwell's had a great game. Instead, he hands off to Nelson, and he scores with left hand. 4-0 run for Pointstreak. 71-64 is the tally in favor of Finland Select. Devin Martin, he's had a great game. A couple baskets by him could ice the fourth quarter. And he draws the foul on Samaje Ainge, who has had a rough fourth quarter, Ben.
Well, I don't think you can really point just to him. I think everybody on Pointstreak has struggled in this fourth quarter. I actually think
have we been a bit too brutal on Ainge? Maybe.
Well, I actually think Julian Nelson is the one guy that stood out to me for Pointstreak, who's been able to kind of weather the storm a little bit. I think he's played pretty well. It's been a team effort from Finland Select, hitting a lot of shots.
Devin Martin yet again trying to do it all himself, and he's off the mark. Despite having a great game, not the best shot selection on that sequence, as Corey Blackwell spins and draws the foul. Pointstreak may be behind, but Corey Blackwell, the 6'5" forward from Kentucky Wesleyan University, he averaged 13 points and 6 rebounds there. He's certainly a player that I'd want to feed the basketball here in this fourth quarter.
And he's also a guy, he started off playing D1 ball at Loyola Marymount before transferring, and his dad actually, also named Corey, played ball at University of Wisconsin and was in the NBA with the Seattle Supersonics. So
wow.
Basketball family. His son now trying to make it himself in pro ball.
Well, you can obviously see that he's got the size and skill in order to translate a similar game to this tournament, along with maybe a professional roster as well. He's got the potential to do just that. Chris Martin controls.
condensed, convoluted play, the first order of business, just getting the ball in and getting some sort of look. Obviously, you still have a lot of time, 16 seconds on the shot clock, 25 on the game clock.
Well, the winner of this game will move on to the winner's bracket for Day 2 of the Session B GBSL tournament, as Scouting for You and D Las Vegas Casino have already advanced. We also have another contest after this one's all said and done between the DMV All-Stars and the Windsor Express. 71-70, the men in white Finland Select leads. Miles Coleman will inbound for Finland Select, and he finds Chris Martin. 13 to shoot. Martin tucks it inside. Powers fell over, but hands off to the big man. That's number 8, Kenny Hall, who finishes. Shot clock turned off. 3 for the tie is no good, and the rebound scooped up by Hall. They have to foul. 9 seconds, 8 seconds, and finally a foul on the floor. A lot of contact on that 3 for the tie, and it just nicked the rim and rolled off.
Pointstreak furious here. They thought that a foul on that three-point shot. It looked like it was fairly well defended there. Now you need the foul immediately. Yeah, things are really certainly getting chippy too in this game, really more so compared to some of our other games here in the GBSL.
And understandably so. This game was well in the grasp of a point streak. And even with just a 1-point deficit, they made the play they had to on the offensive end to get a good look. But just a lot of contact on that three-pointer, no foul, and now they have to hope that Devin Martin misses at least one of these free throws coming up. They lead by 3. Devin Martin's first is good with one more coming up. 74-70 is our score. A wild finish on that last possession, but still a game that's very much in the balance, given that Pointstreak is able to score on their next possession and still leave some time left. Wild finish.
Yeah, huge first free throw made, and the second one would all but seal it here.
Devin Martin's second free throw is up and rolls out. Picked up by Corey Blackwell. His half-court heave is short. 2 seconds remain on the clock. An inbound and some formalities is all that's left, as Finland Select appears to be on their way to a Day 1 victory. Inbound goes into the arms of McLean, and that'll do it. In a game that appeared to be all but over, Pointstreak led by 13 points at the half. Their defense was lights out, not allowing a single point in the first 7 minutes of this game, but Finland Select would not go down as their offense came alive in the third quarter, and they grabbed the win 74-70. Ben Wilson, understandably, Pointstreak's got to be frustrated, but no shame in their performance on the defensive end today.
Yeah, certainly a lot of positives to take away. I mean, both teams I thought played pretty well, and you know, it shows the competition level. Obviously, it's so tight. Any team can win any of these games here, and that's the beauty of this league.
That'll do it here from the Doolittle Community Center. We'll be right back in action 20 minutes from now between tip-off of the DMV All-Stars and the Windsor Express. The winner of that game will take on the team we just saw pull off the win today, Finland Select, in the winner's bracket tomorrow. As for who will move on, the winner of this of the semifinals tomorrow will face off in Tuesday's championship at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. For Ben Wilson and Nick Rice, thank you so much for joining us on the Global Basketball Summer League. We will be right back with more action after this.